In the coming weeks, Lois Celeste and I will be covering issues related to seniors. It's part of our series, A Look at Seniors.
Each week, we'll bring in experts to delve into topics covering finance, health, housing, senior services, Alzheimer's, and much more.
The series will focus on planning for the future so that you and your loved ones are better informed of your options.
We look forward to you joining us.
A Look at Seniors is underwritten by the generous support of these sponsors.
You're not supposed to talk.
We have to start over.
No, we don't. We don't start over around here. We just keep going. That's why we're all human beings. Well, speaking of human beings, today is the first feature in A Look at Seniors. For the next 8 weeks, Lois Celeste and I are going to be talking to a bunch of people on a bunch of issues related to seniors. And joining us today is Ann Gallagher, who is the Co-Director of Rehabilitation Services for Northeastern Association of the Blind. Great.
You got it.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Nice to have you here, Ann.
Thank you for having me here.
And great to have you back, Lois.
Of course, Jessica.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Lois talked to me about doing this series again. And when we did talk about it, one thing stood out. She said, you know what? This year, let's get in front of the issues. And that really stayed in my mind. Mm-hmm. I thought to myself, sure, it's one thing when you're reactive to things, and as you get older, you're resistant to change, and a lot of those kinds of issues. How about we spend time talking about getting in front of it? And blindness and the different forms that takes as you get older is really an issue that we should address. So, Ann, as people get older, what kind of issues do they face in terms of their vision?
Well, the leading causes of vision loss in older Americans, there's 4 leading causes: cataracts, macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy.
You know what, for our viewers who may not be familiar with that, just a very brief description about those. Each one.
Yep,
Thanks.
absolutely. So a cataract, very common. Most older Americans at some point in their life are going to experience a cataract. It's a thickening of the lens of the eye, so it results in very blurry or distorted vision, difficulty with night driving, that sort of thing. Very treatable with surgery. So that's cataracts. Macular degeneration is actually the leading cause of vision loss in older Americans. What happens with macular degeneration, the macula is the point on your retina in the back of your eye that accounts for your central vision. So when I'm looking at you and Lois, that's how my macula is focusing on your faces. So if you have macular degeneration, it would be very difficult for me to recognize either of you for that central vision. You can see peripherally still, but as that macular degeneration decreases or gets worse, that hole in your center vision gets bigger.
Right. Is there a cure for that, Ann?
There is no cure.
Okay.
There are treatments. So the sooner that it's detected, the sooner you can get some treatments to hopefully possibly improve some of your vision or definitely halt the progression with some forms of macular degeneration. There's different forms.
Okay. The other one you hear a lot about is glaucoma.
Yes, absolutely. Glaucoma, it's sometimes referred to as the sneak thief of sight, and that's because there usually is no pain associated with it, and the vision loss begins in your peripheral vision very slowly. So we're not very aware of like where my fingers are now when you're just going through everyday living activities. So, but without treatment, it's increased pressure in your eye and on the optic nerve, and it can result in further vision loss, and it can lead to total blindness without treatment.
Now, you would automatically think that if you're getting these kinds of symptoms that you would go in and have them checked immediately, but you want to know something, there's resistance, like loss of hearing, right? And you see this.
We see it when people come in. They might trip. They're very resistant. Everybody's a little afraid of giving up the independence that they may have by following through. Also, you're getting older. It's harder to read. It's your vision at night when you're driving becomes more difficult, and a lot of folks aren't getting out in front of it or at least we see it at the senior center. They're not doing a lot about it. So we work really closely with a lot of the agencies, one being NABA, to refer seniors in and try to get them some help.
What advice do you give people about this?
It goes with our theme. get out there and do it ahead. You know, my mom has macular, and I think she waited too long. I think more could have been done. You know, same with cataracts. I think people are just resistant for whatever reason to deal with the issues as it occurs. So that's part of what we've been talking about today with NABA and going forward and working with them, is how do we bring the services into the center, into the community, so it's easier for folks to get help before it gets too bad.
NABA being the acronym for Northeast Association for the Blind. Now you work in the community here with other organizations, is that correct?
We do. We have a partnership that's developing right now with the Saratoga Community Health Center, as well as with the Saratoga Lions Clubs. And our plan is in the future to have our optometrist, who's a low vision specialist, be able to see patients up here in Saratoga. For people who might be more difficult to get to Albany for an exam, they could see her up here in Saratoga.
So to be able to see it up here. So that's right in your wheelhouse, because, you know, with the senior center here, you want to be able to refer people.
It's fantastic. Our advocates will refer right out. We're also hoping that they'll come into the center, and I think that relationship we'll have for some screenings, can refer them right in and over to the health center. We work closely with the hospital as well. So I'm very excited about this initiative that's starting.
Again, getting in front of it, you're going to hear us say it a lot over the next 8 weeks. I think the trigger phrase there is low vision, right? If you're perceiving that your parent or yourself is suffering from low vision, don't be resistant to it. You know, it's, again, my parents, the same thing with your mom. You know, oh, I hear fine. Oh, I can see fine. The next thing I know, she's walking into the refrigerator. But it, you know, and I don't mean to make light of it, but, you know, it gets real. It gets real very quickly.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it is preventable. Some of it with surgery can be cured, but also the whole idea there is safety. That would be the trigger for me, right?
Yep, and with intervention, getting to having a screening at a senior center, going to your ophthalmologist to find out if there is a problem, and then there's organizations like ours that exist to help so that someone can stay at home. I think that that's a big resistance factor sometimes, is the fear that a vision loss or further vision loss means you're not going to be able to stay at home, when it's the exact opposite, that if you get help, get in front of it sooner, you can stay at home and still maintain your daily living activities, just doing things a little differently, or having some different devices to help you to do it differently.
And lastly, the number is on the screen for the senior center. We can refer to them. We can get them down to Northeast Association for the Blind. Please don't be afraid to get out in front of it. A lot of what we do is about allowing seniors to age in place and not be afraid of losing their independence.
Well, you know what? It's fear of change and independence are the things that prevent people from doing things a lot of times, when in reality, by doing this, they're actually lengthening the time for their quality of life, which is the key thing there, right? Well, Lois, thanks. I'll see you next week. Ann Gallagher, thank you very much for coming in. This is a topic that we don't talk a lot about, but boy, it really is prevalent and something that needs to be addressed. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com. In the coming weeks, Lois Celeste and I will be covering issues related to seniors. It's part of our series, A Look at Seniors.
Each week, we'll bring in experts to delve into topics covering finance, health, housing, senior services, Alzheimer's, and much more.
The series will focus on planning for the future so that you and your loved ones are better informed of your options.
We look forward to you joining us.
A Look at Seniors is underwritten by the generous support of these sponsors.